everybody, and welcome back to another episode uh, with the New York Giants. So, today I'm going to be going over the New York Giants 2025 schedule. The schedule came out last night. I wrote an article yesterday morning based on the rumors that were coming out about the schedule, and most of the schedule was accurate with the rumors that I was receiving. So, I wrote like little mini about the first 6 weeks, like a little mini write up, and I'll share that on the screen when we get to them. But I'm first going to go over the overall schedule. And I will start by saying, and I'm not the only one saying this just as a Giants fan, Adam Schefter posted a video a little while ago saying it as well, that the Giants have the worst strength of schedule in the NFL coming up for 2025. And for a team that, you know, could be fun, could be a little bit competitive, not having strength of schedule, playing some of these tough teams, and they are playing a lot of tough teams this year, really puts them at a disadvantage, especially in a year when Shane and Dable are trying to save their jobs a little bit. You hope that Mara is a little bit more forgiving, knowing what's going on with their schedule. Week one on the road versus Washington, that could be a competitive game. That could be a close game. I could see the Giants winning. Cowboys on the road, they're losing that game. They're not beating the Cowboys on the road. At home versus the Chiefs, that's a very interesting game. The Chiefs' defense last year wasn't really good. The Chiefs' offense last year was obviously really good. They won the AFC. And the Giants' defense this year is going to be really good. And the offense, there are question marks. The pendulum could swing really good if Russell Wilson stays healthy and has a bounce back year, or it could be really bad if Russell Wilson's not healthy and Jameis Winston's not good, and then they're forcing Dart into a situation that they're not ready for yet. I don't think they beat the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, that's like they put like the three, and I think they can win one of them, and we'll get to that in a minute. The three primetime games, like, are they putting the Giants on there to get embarrassed in two of the three of them at least? Like, honestly, does anyone really think the Giants are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Unless the Chiefs are like, unless Mahomes is hurt and on our IR, and other guys in that offense are not good and are hurt, maybe. Anything can happen. It's a game. Things happen. People get hurt. You know, Guys start playing better than expected, and, things happen. We've seen it a million times in the sport. And in all sports, that's what makes it fun, is sometimes the unlikely matchups. Look at the New York Knicks. I know they lost last night, which is why I didn't do this last night. I did it today because between the Yankee game ending and finishing covering that and my column on that after the game, and the Knicks going on and the actual schedule release, I was watching that, or in my ear rather, while I was writing. Um, there was a lot going on, which is why I'm like, all right, I'll sleep on this and do it today. There, you know, no one expected the Knicks to be where they are right now, up in a series against the Boston Celtics. Obviously, tomorrow night in New York City is going to be cinema. My focus will not be on the New York Knicks. My focus will be on the New York Yankees, hopefully beating the New York Mets at Yankee Stadium. Um, I'll do a little preview show maybe on that, if not like a preview article. I haven't decided yet. It depends on what the next 24 hours hold for me. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll do like a little preview show. Um, Week 4, Chargers come to town. I think that's a win. I think they can win that game. At the Saints, they could win 6. If they're going to win one of the two against the Eagles and not get swept in that interdivision series, they're going to win them at home. I just don't think they can beat them at Philly. So we'll give them maybe a win at home versus the Eagles. On the road versus the Broncos, that's going to be tough. At home versus on the road versus the Eagles, I don't think they win that game. At home versus the Niners, they win that game. I think they beat the Bears on the road. Actually, I know that the Bears are going to be a competitive team, but something tells me that they could beat the Bears. Packers at home, they're not beating them. There's no way. If I don't have them beating the Chiefs at home, they're not beating the Lions on the road. So we can get that one right off now. The Pats on Monday Night Football, I do have them winning that game. I think this could be a fun matchup. It's always fun when these two cities get together, and obviously we'll see it 3 times in the football season with the Jets playing 2 as they always do, and the Giants playing 1 this year. So we'll see the Pats a little bit more in this town this year, and that rivalry is always fun. It just seems like one of those years where these two cities are going, neck and neck. With the Celtics and the Knicks right now, and the Yankees and the Red Sox getting underway in about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks now. Those two teams will get underway, and that'll be a super competitive series this year, season series, I should say. And the football between these teams this fall just seems like it's going to be one of those competitive seasons between the two. Is it like pollen or is it pouring all of a sudden? It's such weird weather-wise. I wanted to come outside and get some fresh air, and now it's like weird. Bye week. We have bye week. I believe that's week 14, week 13 or 14. That's a really good bye week. The reason I'm saying that is because other teams have horrific bye weeks this year. What I mean by that is other teams have such bad bye weeks this year that the Jets have like bye week 4. I mean week 6, I think. And I think another team has it like week 5. And it was like that's an awful, awful time for a bye. So for the Giants to have, a late bye, well, let me see full schedule here. Their bye week is week 14. I was right. So week 14 bye week. That's a good week for a bye week. I have the matchups on my phone. They're playing a lot. So Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Then they have Thursday Night Football, which of all the primetime games, I will say, the best product, in my opinion, is probably just because of the announcers. Thursday Night Football on Prime. That's one of my favorites. I love that. I love those announcers. They're awesome. They are on week 13 on Monday Night Football against the Patriots, right into a bye week, which I like. I like that because then you really kind of almost have almost like close to 2 weeks off. So I like that a lot. Then they then they come home to play the Commanders. I think they could win if they're going to win. I don't know if they're going to win on the road or not. The one thing I want to see is them start 0-3 because they have 2 games that they open up on the road and then they have the Chiefs at home. Then they're going to be trying to climb out of a hole. They're going to be 0-3, then probably 3-2, then probably 3-4, 4-4, 4-5, 5-5, 6-5, 6-6, 6-7, 7-7 bye week. They should be 500 going into the bye week. If my math is right, they should be 500 going into week 14. If they play the way we expect them to play this year, and if they play with urgency, they're going to lose heartbreaking games and they're going to win games that we don't expect them to win. And that's part of what makes this game so fun. But going into that bye week, I expect them to be 500. Then Commanders at home, I expect them to win. Vikings at home, that's going to be a tough one. But I think they can win that game. Raiders on the road is interesting. So let's do this. Let's go through this. I have them losing week 1 on the road. I have them losing week 2 on the road. No. I'm going to reverse that. Week 1 against the Commanders, I think they can win. Week 2 in Dallas, I don't think they can win. So that's 1-1. 1-2 because then the Chiefs. So they're 1-2. 2-2 against the Chargers. I think they can beat the Chargers. 3-2, they'll beat the Saints. At home versus the Eagles. If they're going to win any game against the Eagles this year, I think it's going to be at home. I said that. So that's 4-2. Denver on the road. We're going to give them a loss. 4-3, 4-4, because they're going to lose to the Eagles on the road. 5-4, they can beat the Giants. Not the Giants. Oh my God. The 49ers. San Francisco. Same city. Bears, I think they can beat, because you don't want them going on a 3-game losing streak here. So I think they could beat the Bears in Chicago. Then they're going to come home and face the Packers. They're not beating the Packers. So what do I have now? 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4. No, 7-4, 6-5, 6-6, 7-6. I have them going 7-6 riding into the bye week. Then you come out of the bye week, you have 4 more games. Commanders at home. I have them losing that. If they beat them on the road, they're going to want to beat them in our house. So I have them losing that game. 7-7. Wait, how is this the full schedule? Do I have this right? 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. No, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 7-3, 7-4, 7-5, 8-5 into the bye. So maybe I miscounted. 8-5 into the bye. 8-6. 8-7. They're not gonna. No, you know what? No, 9-7. I think they could beat Minnesota on the road against the Raiders. 9-8. At home versus the Cowboys. 10-8. I have the Giants going 10-8 this year. That's ambitious. That is really ambitious with the schedule. I have them splitting. I have them being the they should beat the Saints. They should beat the Chargers. They should split with the Cowboys. Any way you want to cut it, they should split with the Cowboys. I have them being the Patriots. I have them being the Eagles on Thursday Night Football, but I think they could split with them. So any way you cut it, same difference. I do have them being the Broncos. I don't have them being the Lions. I don't have them being the Packers. That's going to be a tough 2-week stretch, week 11 and week 12. That's going to be a real tough stretch there. The only saving grace is I believe the Lions are playing, as they always do, I believe on Thanksgiving. So let's go to week 12. Week 13. Yeah. They're playing on Thursday, November 27th. We're playing them on Sunday, November 25th. So the only thing that I think could go in the Giants' way is that's not a primetime game. That's a game against the Giants. They might think that they can, maybe roll out a little bit of a whoopsie. Like, we'll roll out, half staff, or, if the game's like kind of getting out of reach or something, or the Giants like take an early lead or something, maybe they might stop trying. Like, as funny as that sounds, because they're a playoff team. I don't think the Giants will beat them. But if of any of the games against the contenders, against the playoff teams, and when I say the contenders and the playoff teams on the Giants schedule, I mean against, so non-division. The Chiefs, the Broncos were in the postseason last year. The Packers, the Lions, and Minnesota. Of those 5, and I do have them being Minnesota and Denver. So really of the 3 against, I would say, the elite teams that are not a division team, which is the Packers, the Lions, and the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them being the Lions of any of those 3 teams. I just hope that week 3 on Sunday Night Football is not an embarrassing shit show for the New York Giants that they don't embarrass themselves on national TV, as they always find a way to do so. And all my teams always find a way to embarrass themselves on national TV. Um, so that's the Giants' takeaways of their early schedule. Now, I did write up for the first 6 that were predicted. Week 1 starts on the road against the Washington Commanders, division rival, known for their physical defense and hostile environment at FedEx Field. That's why I said it's going to be hard to beat them there. Um, I said they're going to split against the Commanders, but I did say the Giants are going to win Week 1 at Commanders. They're going to have to come out sharp. And I wrote that in my column. They're going to have to come out sharp because it's tough to beat division rivals. It's tough to beat playoff teams, and they were a good postseason team. I didn't expect them to get as far as they did, and you don't want to fall that far back in the division early. Then you go to week 2, and you're going to AT&T Stadium down in Dallas. They have had the Giants number, especially down at AT&T, and that's just going to be a really, really tough game. That's why I'm saying that if you're the Giants, you really need to win week 1. You don't want to fall down 0-2 real quick, and likely 0-3 as you're going to come home and face Mahomes and Andy Reid, and see, the defense. That's going to be a really, and I wrote this. It's going to be a litmus test. The defense in Game 3, litmus test against the Kansas City Chiefs. Because if you look at the Chiefs' struggles last year, their strength was on the offense. Their struggle was on the defense. I believe they addressed it this offseason. We'll see what they look like in the first few weeks of the year. Remember, they started 7-0 last year. Not saying that's going to happen this year, but they started really strong last year. So you're going to go into the season, and it's going to be that high of a litmus test for the Giants. If their defense is really as good as we think they are, and their offense can score enough points against the Kansas City Chiefs, and their defense was a struggle, they can win that game, and that would be a big upset. Because if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you're looking at week 3 as like, win. We already won. I don't think the Giants will win week 3, but I will say that can be a shocking development if their defense is really as good as we all think it is. Week 4, I think that the LA Chargers come to town. Okay. Justin Herbert come to town. Back-to-back weeks against elite quarterbacks. They're going to need another top-tier performance. They have a really tough opening schedule. Then week 5, it kind of cools off. Week 5 is kind of like the Chiefs taking us on. That's kind of like our week 5 of we're taking on the Saints. They're supposed to be shitty. I know you're going to be in the Superdome. You got to beat the New Orleans Saints. Then Thursday Night Football against the defending Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles. Enough said. Thursday Night Football at home. If they're taking either one of those games, it's going to be at home. I said that earlier. I'm not going to keep rambling. And then week 6. Of course, we get to week 6. Week 6 I just went over. These first 6 games could define their season. I wrote it because it could put them in a hole early. I only outlined the first 6 games. I think it's too early right now. Even to outline the first 6 games now, it's a little early. Obviously in training camp and, preseason games, which they do have 3 preseason games, date and time to be determined, for game 1 against the Buffalo Bills. Game 2 at MetLife, it'll serve as a home game, which is interesting. For against the Jets, 7 p.m. on my birthday, August 16th. And then August 21st at 8 p.m. Is that? Yeah, that's an 8. Again, at home against the Pats. The at home against the Pats, actually, really those 3 preseason games will be a cool test, obviously. It was kind of talked about today. These teams don't really try in preseason games because they don't want to get guys hurt. So that could also be an advantage. It could also be a disadvantage, but it could be an advantage to the Giants coming out of the gate, weeks 1, 2, and 3. If everyone's not like full go yet, they can kind of take advantage of that. So I'm going to leave it there with the Giants preseason scheduling. Really tough schedule. Don't love it, but it is what it is.